Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to another live Q&A. It is obviously not Saturday, it's Sunday. These Q&As happen every Saturday usually, but this Sunday, because of my travel schedule, or this weekend because of my travel schedule, I decided to move it to Sunday. And you can see that I'm in a different location. I'm actually at my parents' house in Massachusetts, and the internet signal is not quite as high as usual. The noise level may be a little bit different, so I apologize ahead of time if there's any issues with the internet or with various noises from my family members or the dogs in the house. It's going to be a little bit different this month, so hang in there with me with any unexpected occurrences. But I am so excited for this video. I have Cobi, and we're talking all about various aspects of vegan living with the focus on food, because Cobi is a master at vegan food, especially recipes. So if you have questions along those lines, please send them in. And for those of you who are brand new to these videos, let me give you a little intro to how they work. So this is live if you're watching on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific time. You are watching live, and we are so excited because this allows you to interact with us. You can ask us questions at any point, and we get to them towards the end of these Q&As. All of the questions that we answer today are user submitted. These are coming from people who have asked questions in the past. So one way to ask questions, if you're not watching live, if you are watching live and the question slips your mind or something, there's a link down below in the YouTube and SoundCloud description fields which allow you to ask your question to go into the queue for future videos. So some of these videos, these questions I have today came from several months ago or from a few weeks ago. I just pull them based on the guests or the topic of each video. So you can submit them at any point using that bit.ly link down below. And if you're watching live, the only way for us to see your questions live is through Google+. So you go to google.com/+eco-vegan-gal, you click on the event link, and you want to open it up so you can see the Q&A app. You can do this on your computer. You can also do this on mobile devices using the free Google Plus app or the Hangouts app, and allows you to chime in there, ask your questions about whatever we're talking about today, or if something new comes to mind that you think that we can answer. Please chime in at any point. They go into the queue, and then we'll get to them towards the end. And you can watch these videos on YouTube. They are recorded for YouTube. They also go up in just audio format only, similar to a podcast on SoundCloud. And lastly, one really cool way for you to submit questions is through something called SpeakPipe, which allows you to ask questions. We actually have one today, but I might have to go grab my iPad because I forgot to bring it. And I didn't mention this to Cobi, but maybe she'll be open to answering this one. I completely slipped my mind. But SpeakPipe allows you to record your voice and ask questions like a voicemail. And it's a really neat way to hear people, and it takes the questions to a whole new level of personalization. So with all that said, I'm really excited to introduce Cobi Kim, my guest today. Cobi and I have known each other for several years through YouTube. We're working on something really special that we want to tell you about. But Cobi, why don't you give an introduction to who you are and what you do?
I am so thrilled and happy to be here this morning with you, Whitney. Thanks so much. I am Cobi, and I have the YouTube channel Vegetorials, as well as the accompanying website. And I try and give people a comfortable entry point to learn, discover, and explore how delicious and beautiful a vegan life can be.
Love that. That's a great way to summarize it all. Well, Cobi, on this note, based on your introduction, why don't you tell them about this special project that you and I have been working on?
Oh my goodness. On Monday, September 8th, Whitney and I are launching... Tomorrow already? I don't think I've ever been so excited for a Monday. We're launching the 4-week vegan YouTube plan. So this is the course Whitney and I wish we had 4 years ago when we started our channels. It's really going to give you a step-by-step guide to build your audience influence. I think a lot of other YouTube programs focus on either just getting your channel up to speed or just the monetization aspects. If you don't have the strong foundation of one, the opportunities that you want are probably not going to come later. So this course is 4 weeks where you get our personal attention. We're giving you all the strategies that we used. So this is not theoretical. This is not a passive class. This is about digging in, doing the work for 30 days, and seeing measurable results at the end. So we are thrilled to lead you through that. There is a webinar. If you want to see a little preview of the course, we filmed that last Monday, and Whitney will leave the links for you in the description box so you can watch the replay, whet your appetite, see what the full course is going to be like. And I think we have a couple of spots left. There was bonus for the first 20 people that signed up. You're going to get a bonus week where in week 5, Whitney and I host a private Google Hangout where you're just going to get to pick our brains, talk about any issues that you still feel stuck on after the 4 weeks, and really get that personal attention on your channel. We're going to give you all the optimization tips and discuss any strategies that can really help you turn your hobby into a business.
Yes, it's very, very exciting, and we created this because of everything that we've learned from being vegan content creators on YouTube and realizing that it is such a powerful way to spread the vegan message. I mean, you wouldn't be watching this video right now if it weren't for YouTube and it weren't for me and Cobi being on YouTube and meeting through YouTube, and it's just been such an incredible journey to educate people about the vegan lifestyle. And if you have been watching any of our videos and kind of wishing that you could do the same thing, but also wondering, is it going to be sustainable for you long term? Do you want to turn this into a business? It's exactly why we created this course. We wanted to show people what we do and how we've made this our full-time careers and how you can basically spread the vegan message full-time. And it's just an amazing lifestyle that we've created, and we want to help educate other people on it. So there'll be lots of information about that in the YouTube description and the SoundCloud description down below. It does start in, let's see, how many hours do we have left? 24 plus 7. So 31 hours until the course starts, so that's how much time you have to sign up if you are interested in it. And like I said, even if you just want to watch the first video we did, that webinar that we recorded last week is so packed with information, and I think it applies to people of any experience level on YouTube. So yes, with no further ado, or no further talking about it today, I'll have all the details in the links down below. So speaking of which, you get to see us do what we do today in this video, and we're going to be talking about vegan food and living. So let's jump right into the questions. As a reminder to anyone who just logged on live, you can ask your questions using the Google Plus Q&A app. They go into a queue, and then we will answer them to the end. You can direct them to both of us. You can direct them to one of us, Whitney or Cobi, whoever you are most interested in hearing the answer from, and otherwise we'll just both give our opinions on things. So let's start off with the first question. This one came from Naomi, who said, I'm 20 now, and I started being vegan a little over a year ago. I didn't learn till later that white sugar was not vegan. As of now, I was curious about white sugar. I don't eat it because I know the whole bone char bleaching ordeal, but I don't really know too much about that. Do you? I also know there are a lot of vegans out there who still eat things like Oreos and other things that they don't see any animal ingredients in, but aren't aware about the sugar potentially not being vegan. They have no way of knowing that it was done by bone char or some other source. I guess that maybe it's just one of those things like honey to some people. Some eat it, some won't. I love this question because it is something that a lot of people don't think about. We see an ingredient list and we don't know exactly how things were sourced, and that's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, is figuring out where our food comes from. Not just, is it vegan, healthy, was it sustainably sourced, were any animals harmed in this? We're going to be talking about palm oil later on today, and that's another great one, so maybe we can go directly into that after this. But let's focus in directly around sugar. Cobi works so much with food. She does recipes. She's so passionate about creating food. So what is your kind of knowledge and experience with using sugar, and where do you kind of draw the line, Cobi?
For me, if I'm preparing food myself, in my pantry, I always have organic sugar, which, if it is labeled certified organic, it cannot be processed with bone char to have that certification, because I guess the USDA does or doesn't feel that you can make bones organic, which is good news for vegans. As a general rule, though, in my recipes, I do not use white sugar. Not necessarily for health reasons like you, Whitney. You are definitely a little bit of a cleaner eater than me. I still eat for my ego. But I use coconut sugar for the most part, and that is unrefined. So again, by default, that will be vegan. Those are my #1 choices. There are companies, if you really want to just go mainstream, you're going to have to actually reach out, because the thing is, just because something was vegan last month, they can change where they're getting their product from. You know, it's not, the sugar is probably not coming just from one farm, from one factory. If you're dealing with a huge brand like C&H or Domino's, they're probably getting it from multiple sources. So you have to always keep that dialogue open with the company and be inquiring, is your product still vegan?
Yeah, I think that it's always important to continue to ask and to do some research. You know, it's so wonderful now that there are companies that will specifically say in the label that they're made without animal ingredients or testing, and they'll even have the vegan label on them. That's always nice. But, you know, of course there are products every once in a while that are technically vegan, and I'm so glad that this person brought up Oreos. There are plenty of kind of these junk food, overly processed foods out there that technically are vegan. And I think that, you know, you have to figure out where your comfort level, as Naomi brought up here. It's kind of like honey. Not all vegans choose to consume honey, and some vegans do choose to consume honey. And it's like, you just have to decide what you're personally comfortable with, knowing how things are sourced. And I think if you want to eat Oreos because they're vegan, that's just a personal choice. But you do need to know that the sugar may not be completely vegan. So even though it looks like it is, it might not be to all the different roots down to where things are sourced from. And that's personally why I love digging in and figuring out, you know, who are these companies? Another thing that something we don't think about that often is the soil. They're veganic soil, meaning that no animal manure was used. Or I'm sorry, is it? It depends what the livestock was fed, I think. And then sometimes they'll use just compost from vegetables, right? I think that's what it is. I'm still unfamiliar with it, and it's confusing, but I'll dig more into that to get you some details on veganic, because that's a whole nother topic. But you know, it's really just kind of starting to look into where food is coming from. And I'm so glad that Cobi brought up the whole organic sugar aspect, because that is one of the biggest tips to avoid using any bone char made sugar, and make sure that it is vegan for you. Organic sugar is a really great choice for that, and for many other reasons, as is buying organic in general. So I would definitely opt for that. I love that she brought up the coconut sugar, and just looking for low glycemic sugars as well is going to help with your glucose levels, and having something low on the glycemic level is really a healthier choice. So it's kind of nice that is a complicated issue, because it's going to get you to think more about where your sugar is coming from. So thank you to Naomi for bringing that up. I think this is a really great way to transition into the next question about palm oil. And Nikki asked this: what is your opinion on palm oil? I'm going to link to a post that I did a few months ago that really did a whole overview on palm oil based on my research and based on my personal opinion. So I'll leave you, if you want to read that and learn more in depth about it, but I'm really curious what Cobi has to say about this.
I think palm oil, sugar, and honey, those topics, it really depends who my audience is, who I'm speaking to about these three things, and it is sometimes different than what I would practice if I was just living in a bubble. So palm oil is one of those ingredients that seems like it is in every single package of vegan junk food. All the things that are those transitional foods, there's palm oil in it. And is palm oil itself vegan? Yes, it is not derived from animal products. No animals were exploited or harmed. in the palm oil product. The problem is with the deforestation and the destruction of their habitats. So then we're just really talking about how invested you are on an ethical and an emotional level. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong. It just is about what resonates with you. So again, I do eat some of the packaged foods that have palm oil. I'm always striving to just generally make better choices, and I know that having a lot of excess oil in my diet and eating the junk food is not good for me. But if someone was like, I could really be vegan except I need this bag of potato chips and that bag of potato chips is made with palm oil, I would say if that is the one thing that's holding you back, eat the chips. You know?
Yeah, I think, that's such a great perspective to have, because a lot of people are afraid of going vegan or calling themselves vegan because of all these different labels. And, it's really a person-to-person choice. Of course, the DEF has very specific things within it, so if you're not abiding by that exact definition, maybe you just don't want to call yourself vegan. Maybe you want to say they're eating a plant-strong or a plant-based diet, and you're very focused on whole foods, or you're focused on, animal-free foods. Maybe you want to call yourself a very strong vegetarian or something. I think that at the end of the day, though, you can call yourself whatever you want. It's just a matter of who you're around and who's going to really care about what you're saying and what you feel about it deep down. And I think that it is really important to know about issues like sugar and like palm oil, because being educated helps you make those decisions and feel strong about them. I know for me, I had such a journey where I was learning little by little. I still learn all the time about the foods that I eat and the products that I buy and what the impact is on them. And I've had people, come up to me and say, well, didn't you know that this and that is, you're having this and that's bad for that reason. And that seems to happen on like a yearly basis. Like the palm oil thing has probably happened within the past year or two, year and a half maybe, and none of us were really thinking about it at the time. We were all just eating these products. There's some really beloved vegan products out there that use palm oil. Now the cool thing is, though, on the other hand, is that when you raise your awareness about things like palm oil and the sugar and any other ingredient, honey, when you get more educated, you can help educate companies. And because of the palm oil issue, a lot of companies out there have decided to take palm oil out because they realized that was affecting their business and they want to have vegan customers. So in the last year, you've seen a ton of brands remove palm oil, and they're really responding to consumer demand. They're responding to people that have spoken up for it. So speak up. It doesn't mean that you can't eat your favorite products, because they could just take it out for you eventually. So I would also recommend, if you really love something and you want to continue eating it, also don't be afraid to tell the company how you feel. So you can continue eating the product, and then maybe later on down the road it'll also be palm oil free or whatever ingredient you're concerned about, and then you get the best of both worlds. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. I love this one because I can't wait to hear what Cobi has to say. Misty asked, what is the best, most traditional cheese to use for a great pizza? What's your opinion, Cobi?
Okay, so I'm the kind of gal who really likes mini food. I think it's so cute. I feel like it's less calories. If I share it with someone, I give half away the fat. So I like to make 2 mini English muffin pizzas. And what I find to be the best cheese is the Chicago Vegan Foods Tease mozzarella, because I slice it maybe like a 1/4 inch thick, and it looks just like buffalo mozzarella. It has a nice glistening stretch to it, and it tastes amazing. Whitney, I love that hangout you did a couple weeks ago that was vegan cheeses that doesn't taste like poop. Chicago vegan cheese does not taste like poop. It's good.
I agree, and they're such a sweet company. They're actually one of those companies that took palm oil out of their cheeses and was very proud about it. They're such nice people, and Cobi and I get to meet them at the Natural Products events. Maybe I'll see them in a few weeks at Natural Products Expo East. I hope so. I think they're usually there, and they're just such nice people. So the cool thing is when you eat food that comes from great people, it's just like a whole new level of appreciation. And they make a variety of different flavors. They have a really good cheese that's phenomenal for nachos. Jason Wrobel has an incredible video out about this that I'll link to, and those nachos that he made with teas are just unbelievable. So it's great. You know, I do want to say, as I've said in past videos, I've talked about cheese a lot, and you can check out that one, vegan cheeses that don't taste like poop Q&A. I'll link to that one. And I can't take credit for that title because that was based on the question that I received. I think that your choice of cheese is really just a personal preference. And I also feel like a lot of people will knock a cheese. They'll be like, that cheese tastes disgusting. And they try it after one try. But I have no idea what this person's experience is. If they are recently vegan, of course some vegan cheeses are not going to taste the same as dairy-based cheeses because your palate has not gotten used to it yet. And you might be a huge cheese lover that's gone vegan because you're so passionate about that. It's going to be a different experience. But the nice thing is we have so many options out there, and I'll talk more. I talked more about that in the video, and I also have a whole written post up there for you. So I'll link to that down below, and that includes teas. I absolutely agree. For me, pizza, I haven't made pizza that much recently. I've always loved Daiya on pizzas. I think it melts really well, and the flavor's good. So, I mean, Daiya is kind of my go-to. Usually because it's often more accessible. Teas, unfortunately, is not as widely available as Daiya, so I think I just got into the habit. But I'm going to have to try that teas cheese on pizza. I don't think I've ever made a pizza with teas before. I always use it for, like, nachos.
Well, there's going to be the game changer soon, right, when Miyoko's full line goes live. I was just snooping around at the pre-orders. Whoa.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Miyoko Skinner makes phenomenal cheeses. I can't remember if they're raw or not. Are they raw? Because they're nut based.
Yeah.
I don't know if she puts them through any processing or if they are completely raw, but they're made from all different types of cheeses, and they're phenomenal. I think those are like the best cheeses for crackers, and probably the best cheese for crackers that I've ever had. That's the other thing I wanted to say about cheese is it all depends how you're using it, right? Some cheeses are great on nachos, some cheeses are great on pizza, some are great for crackers, some are great for macaroni and cheese. So one cheese may not fit every single usage. Like Daiya, I have to say, they've come out with some block cheeses, but they're not as good on crackers as something like Miyoko's. So definitely keep an eye for that. And Miyoko's actually going to be on the vegan cruise that I'm part of next month, which is really exciting. So I'll be eating my fair share of cheeses while in the Caribbean. And hopefully Cobi will be there too. Okay, let's go to the next question. This one came from Denise. I'm having a hard time transitioning from vegetarian to vegan. I fall hard for cheese, as we just covered. Many people do. But I don't eat it as often as I used to. Is honey vegan? Are there issues associated with honey? Now, I've addressed this a few times in the Q&A, so I'm going to turn this over to Cobi because I would love to hear your opinion. Everybody has an opinion on honey. So what is yours, Cobi?
So the issue for vegans and why most won't consume honey is even in ideal situations, A, bees are compromised when the honey is harvested, and B, we're technically stealing their food, right? So if your whole point of being vegan is not to use or exploit animals, bees are still living creatures, highly intelligent, and in my opinion, of all species, the most important to save, because if we don't have bees, our crops are not going to get pollinated, we're not going to have food, and we will be screwed. Excuse my bluntness. That all said, I now live in a place where there are a lot of farmers and beekeepers, and I've met some vegan beekeepers, and their process is there are hive collapses as well. So sometimes that's because of pesticide use in the area. There can be a lot of factors. And if a colony collapses, I mean, it basically means that the bees have just abandoned the hive, that there's just nothing left. So if it's just a hive with honey, and I know 100% that's where the honey came from, I will eat it. It's been so long since I've been in this situation where I could get locally sourced honey from someone I knew. So for years I haven't, and now I have had a little bit of honey. In terms of just using it, if I can't have this ideal situation, there is one exception. If I were to get a serious staph infection like MRSA, which is known to be antibiotic resistant, I would opt for using Manuka honey as a salve. If it was to save my life, I would. That's
yeah.
what
Well, how about some honey alternatives? What do you use in your recipes?
Oh my goodness. I met the people who make the bee-free honey at Expo. They are the nicest people in the world, so passionate about what they're doing, and their honey is made from apples. And it was kind of an accident when they told me about the process. They were apple farmers, and I don't know, we're making applesauce or jam, and it kind of fermented. A batch went a little too long and turned into this delicious, syrupy, sweet concoction. And so they started just with the original flavor, which tastes just like honey. If you've used agave nectar as a honey substitute in the past, once you try this, you will just be like, what was I thinking using agave? It makes agave taste just overly sweet. This is so perfectly balanced. It has that floral whisper to it, but now they're doing flavors. So what I have been using in everything, because I am Korean and Korean cooking needs honey, they make an ancho chili flavored honey, and it is the best thing ever. So you can make a killer stir fry basically by just stir frying your veggies, putting a splash of coconut aminos or soy sauce, and then a drizzle of that ancho chili bee-free honey. Sister, you will be in stir fry heaven. So good.
Yes, and they have a chocolate one. They have a mint, I think, and they're so wonderful in teas. Or what else have I put that in? Just like smoothies and all sorts of different desserts. And yes, they're very nice people. This is called Beef Free Honey, Honee. I'll link to it down below, of course. And I've mentioned them several times on these Q&As. They are just phenomenal. So, you know, you don't really, that's the thing for me. My quick word on honey is I don't really need to eat it. I agree with Cobi. If I was in a health condition where I had to have honey and the benefits of honey, because there are some health benefits to honey, I would probably eat it, right? I would get it from a locally sourced bee farm, and fortunately there are many all across the world. But I just don't find a need to have honey, especially with products like bee-free honey at all. I mean, I have the taste, I have the texture. I don't need it for a health benefit, so it suits me for what I need it for. And I think somebody asked last time I brought up bee-free honey, they asked if it was gluten-free, and I'm fairly certain that it is. I'll have to double check, but from my recollection, there's nothing in it. There's a chance that it might be produced in a facility along with gluten-free. Depends on the certification, but I think based on the ingredients that it is gluten-free. It's just apples and what else is in that? I think it's mainly, there's like a few ingredients, but it's mainly apples, so it's very clean. Okay, I'm excited for Cobi's perspective on this next question. And this came from Goldie, who said, I was wondering if you cook beans from scratch. I've been meaning to learn to make beans from scratch for years, and I'm currently looking into buying a pressure cooker since I'm a busy student who works and volunteers part-time. And do you know the advantages and disadvantages of cooking beans, soups, etc. using a pressure cooker on the stove versus a slow cooker? Not only time-wise, but in terms of nutrient retention and energy expenditure. I love this. I do not currently own a slow cooker or a pressure cooker, but they are to make beans and other various products. I actually talk about this a bit in my upcoming ebook, Healthy Organic Vegan on a Budget, and you know, they can definitely be a great time saver, and they also retain a lot of the nutrients because it's all within the pot. but I'm not sure if there is a nutrients difference between pressure cooking versus slow cooking. Pressure cooking cooks your beans really, really fast, and slow cooking takes about the normal amount of time. Cobi, what is your method for cooking beans? Do you use a pressure cooker, a slow cooker? Any tips or advice on that?
When I was living in California and Hawaii, where I didn't have to deal with altitude, I just cooked my beans on the stove. So I'm a big fan of garbanzo beans, so I usually soak them overnight, and then I just drain, rinse once, and then fill the pot up with my water. And my trick is adding a 2-inch strip of kombu, which is a sea vegetable. And if you have any issues with beans and gas, I find that the kombu will cut the gas down a little bit, and it also just adds a little bit of flavor to your cooking water. Now that I am in a place where altitude is an issue, the water just doesn't boil as fast, I am going to get a pressure cooker, because like Whitney said, the pressure cooker will just cook them lightning fast. So the pressure cooker has a little valve, it lets some of the steam out, and at a certain point it seals it. So it is locking in all of the nutrients. It's going to preserve the texture. And if you are just someone who wants to maybe come home from work at 5 o'clock and you want to have dinner by 5:45, the pressure cooker is the way to go. It's nothing you have to prep before you leave. Just throw everything in. It's just like a big pot on your stove, and then you can actually use that pot just to cook stocks or whatever else afterwards. The difference with a slow cooker is that is something you would prep before you leave in the morning. For something like beans, I don't think the texture is good at all. It's actually going to make your beans almost disintegrate. So unless you're looking for maybe something like baked beans is fine, because you don't need them to be very kind of toothy. But if you were just making a pot of garbanzos and you wanted to make, an Indian dish, I think you would actually want your bean texture to still have some integrity. So I would definitely go with pressure cooker.
That's good to know. I hadn't actually thought about that with the texture changing. It's been so long. So I need to get more I need to get a pressure cooker and a slow cooker and experiment with them more, because there's so many benefits to them. And there's actually a really cool book all about vegan slow cooking recipes, and I'll link to that down below if you have that and you want to experiment with that, because it's such a great time saver. But the pressure cooker, as Cobi mentioned, is such a cool tool, and how nice would it be to have things cook that fast?
And I think
go ahead.
There's actually a book on pressure cooking too. It's by Jill Nusinow, I believe is how you pronounce her. She goes by the Veggie Queen, and hers is like Vegan Pressure Cooking 101 or something. So if you really want to go deep into that, it's a great resource.
Good to know. I'll have to check that out too. That's cool. All right, Cobi, are you open to answering a question that we didn't talk about? It's all about planning school lunch ideas.
Oh, what is that the question?
Well, it's a SpeakPipe message, so I haven't
sure.
listened to this one since it came in a month ago, but I'd love to play it, and then we can both answer some of the questions, because it's such a timely question to address, and I bet you have some great recipes that you could think of.
Sure.
Let me play it for everyone.
Hey Whitney, I was wondering if you had any cool ideas for lunch with school being around the corner. I've been known to bring the exact same vegan lunch every day to school, and I was wondering if you had any ideas. Thanks.
So her voice was pretty quiet. I don't know how well you could hear it, but her name is Myra, and she wanted to know about school lunch ideas because she's been known to bring the same exact meal to school every day or on a regular basis, alternating between a few different dishes. So I love this question because it's September, people are already back in school, and the excitement's probably starting to wear off of the first week of school. What am I going to eat? And, I would just love to hear what Cobi says about this, and then I'll chime in.
So if the goal was to make a batch of something on Monday that I could eat and enjoy all week, I can think of 2 recipes that come to mind just really right now. One is a pasta salad. And I'll tell you what my favorite pasta to use is. Trader Joe's has their gluten-free brown rice pasta. The ingredients are brown rice and water. It is the best texture. It's like a little tube-shaped pasta. So you just cook the whole bag, drain it, rinse it, cool everything down, and then if you're not into making your own salad dressing, Trader Joe's has a Italian dressing that is also vegan. And then just chop up your favorite veggies. The ones that are going to hold up for a whole week would be things like celery, red onions, bell peppers, raw zucchini, and then your favorite beans. So I always throw in garbanzos. You can throw in nuts for crunch. But that just is so easy. Just throw in your favorite vegetables. The only things that are going to get a little bit wonky if you want to keep it for a week, I wouldn't add mushrooms. They're going to kind of do something weird. And then any greens like spinach or kale, they might start to get funky. So if you want to add those in, just add those in the day that you're actually going to eat it, and just your big batch should have like the heartier vegetables, you know, carrots and things like that. Oh, it tastes so good. And then the other thing that I like to do is, I know it's just so common, but it is because it's so easy to put together. I make a big batch of a hummus, and since I like to put garbanzos in things like my pasta salad, I usually do like a white bean hummus and then flavor it with something. So I'm really into like sun-dried tomato hummus or things with like a little bit of truffle salt or truffle oil, and then I just use that hummus and I make wraps all week, wraps and pitas, and I'm good to go. Because when I'm just feeding myself, I'm about convenience. I'm really not trying to have a culinary breakthrough. So, yeah, I just want to get fed.
Yeah. Well, you can get so creative with these things, too, and I love the concept of making big batches, and that's something I really focus in on the Healthy Organic Vegan on a Budget ebook, because you can save so much time, you can save so much money from making just something that you're planning ahead of time, and you know, you can grab it from the fridge to take to lunch, to have for dinner, to have for a snack. And I love the pasta salad idea. That sounds like something I could eat every day. I think it's about making dishes that you can eat over and over again, and of course Myra was saying that she's known to bring the same thing. Maybe you want to make the same one or two dish per week, and then the next week you make a different one or two dishes. And you can also get creative, because not every pasta salad has to have the exact same ingredients in it. So each week you can swap it out. You can use different sauces or dressings or spices and various things in it. Same thing with wraps. I mean, you just put in different types of spreads, different types of vegetables. Those are super simple. You can make all different types of different sandwiches, like peanut butter and jelly, almond butter and jelly, and just switch out the different flavors, different types of salads. And I think that our favorite dishes and then finding ways to make variations to that is probably going to be the easiest and most budget-conscious idea for bringing to school. But lastly, I would say get creative based on what other people are eating or what you're seeing, you know, in the cafeteria. If there's some really good dishes that you don't want to spend your money on, just think of how you can make it at home cheaper and how you can make a big batch so that you have plenty of it to last for the rest of the week. And lastly, when it comes to batch cooking, you can also just freeze a lot of things. So maybe like a hummus wrap isn't ideal frozen, but you can actually freeze peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or nut butter and jelly sandwiches. You can just cut them up, put them in the freezer, and then just take them out whenever you want to eat them. I'm not sure how well a pasta dish would do in the freezer. I think it would do okay. Cobi, do you have any dishes that you would recommend that are great for freezing?
Shepherd's pie.
Ooh.
Shepherd's pie is so good. And then you can just, yeah, I would do it. I'm just cooking for one, so don't make like an 11 by 8 pan of it. Make like an 8 by 8 pan, you know, freeze half of it, and you'll be so happy to have those 2 servings later.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great, gosh, shepherd's pie. I love that with mashed potatoes on top. Ooh. I always get so hungry when I talk to people about stuff like this in the Q&As. I can't wait to go make food. Well, those are lots of options. I would actually love from anyone watching to hear what your favorite dishes are for school, whether you're in high school, whether in college, or any type of education. You could also chime in if you're bringing things to lunch. What are your favorite plant-based dishes to bring with you that you make on a regular basis and that are easy to prepare, maybe even freezable, something you can do in batches. We've got one last question to answer here, and then we're going to jump into live questions. I see one question on the queue, so I want to remind anyone watching live to chime in with anything that you have. This is a great opportunity to ask Cobi food-related, recipe-related questions, and again, you can do that at google.com/+ecovegangal. Click on the event, and then when you go to watch the video, you should see a little thing that's on the right-hand side of your screen where you can type in questions. I will not be able to see questions that are asked directly on YouTube or within the event page. You actually have to open up the Hangout window and look at the Q&A box, and that's true for if you're watching on a mobile device as well. So please ask them in there. We love answering questions. And the last prepared one that we have for you today came from, where did that one go? This one came from Sophie, and she asked, could we please talk about our progress in the Rouxbe Plant Based Certification course? I was really intrigued when you mentioned this, and I was considering it for myself. Would love to hear your opinion. I know I've talked about this at least once in the Q&A videos, but Cobi and I are both taking this course, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring this up. So the Rouxbe Plant Based Certification course is an online course that you can take to learn how to make incredible gourmet vegan dishes. And this is phenomenal if you're just looking to expand your at-home repertoire. Perfect for people that find themselves making the same foods over and over again, and also are lacking kitchen skills. So if you don't know how to use a knife properly, if you don't know how to use various kitchen tools, as we've talked about, like the slow cooker and the pressure cooker, if you just want to know how to make things look really beautiful, this is a really great course. And it's also excellent for people that want to pursue a professional career. So if you want to write your own cookbook, if you want to become a professional chef in a restaurant or a private chef or on and on, any of these professional culinary careers you can pursue, you actually get certified in it after you do this online course. And I believe you get, is it 6 months to complete it? Is that right, Cobi? Okay, so you get to start and you go at your own pace. So you can take your time learning and you don't have to go anywhere. You do this all at home in front of your computer, and it's done via a lot of writing, or I'm sorry, there's written content that you read, as well as video content and quizzes and little assignments where you make dishes at home. And Cobi and I have both been taking it, and it's just been so phenomenal. And I wanted to, because they actually have a really great discount that expires today, which is the 7th of September. It expires at midnight, I think, Pacific time. You get $300 off this course. And I think this is so wonderful because a lot of people have been hesitant to take this course because of the price. It's $1,500, but to be honest, it is so worth it if you really want to use these skills and take your skills to the next level, especially if you're doing it professionally. But even so, you know, Cobi and I, we are, I guess, doing it professionally. Cobi's doing her recipe videos, and I'm working on a number of different projects that will involve the recipes. But honestly, I've always wanted to learn knife skills, and I wanted to learn how to make dishes. You can save so much money. People spend upwards of $5,000 a year going out to eat or getting food out for lunch. I mean, hundreds of dollars a month alone are spent just by buying lunch when you're at work or at school. Really great skills can save you a lot of money long term, and these are skills you'll have for life. So if you look at it from that perspective, the cost of this course isn't that high. But now you get $300 off if you buy it by the end of tonight. So I'll have a link down below. And Cobi, I would love to hear, what has your experience been so far in Rouxbe? What have you learned? What is like your opinion of the structure? Anything else that you want to share?
I'm really impressed. So before I decided to do VeggieTorials full-time, I was working for 10 years as a personal chef, and I'm a self-taught cook. My entire family are all chefs, so it's not like I didn't have a background, but I didn't have all of the fundamentals down. Perfect knife skills and mother sauces. How to do your basic sauces is an amazing thing. The quality of the course for the price is also outstanding. I had done a lot of research on a lot of different courses, some of the raw certifications, some of the natural culinary schools in New York, in Northern California. They all start at about $6,000. So to me, $1,500 was a deal. The fact that Chad Sarno is leading it, and they have the live Q&As, the lectures, they have the guest speakers like Jason Wrobel sharing his knowledge about how he really built his brand. Whitney, aren't you doing a talk on Tuesday as well?
Yeah. How funny that I completely forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
I am doing a talk for Rouxbe on Tuesday, all about healthy, organic, vegan on a budget. So definitely tune in. I'll have some more information about that up on social media tomorrow. Thank you for the reminder, Cobi. That slipped my mind. So much. You know, it is so true that the cost of it is really low compared to other courses. Plus the time commitment. Jason has said that, you know, he went to a culinary school, and it's like you have to go into the school every day, and you have to be there, and you don't have a choice in terms of the schedule. So it's definitely nice that you can just be flexible. Especially Cobi and I have appreciated this. You know, we can do this whenever we want. We can take our time with taking the courses. You know, do 5 minutes here, half an hour there, an hour maybe another day, and go through it. I've actually found myself moving through the course really fast when I have really focused on it. So it can also, you can get certified really, really quickly and start pursuing this professionally if you'd like. I will lastly say that the other neat thing about this is it covers many aspects of the plant-based diet, including raw food and gluten-free and various types of sensitivities. So there's something in there for everyone, and I think it's phenomenal. I'm honored to be doing my live event with them on Tuesday, and please tune in for that. I forget what time it is. I'm bad at this. My mind has been in so many different places with all my projects, but I will have all the links down below for you to tune in. I think it's at like 3 p.m. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head, but I will have the information for you to tune in. It is on Tuesday, September 9th. Okay, we do have some live questions, and let's jump right into them. And of course, reminder to everyone else, we are now answering your questions live, so anyone watching live, we will be addressing directly to you. This first one comes from Hannah, who asked, could you recommend any especially good foods or supplements to boost immunity? Cobi, anything?
I don't take a lot of supplements unless I'm traveling, because I feel like as soon as I get on a plane, that is the germ capsule that I need extra protection from. So, I mean, I take a B12, but I don't normally take a multivitamin. So if I know I'm going to be traveling to boost my immunity, I will start taking a high-quality, raw, cold fusion type multivitamin. I don't have a particular brand that I'm loyal to right now. I kind of look for what's on sale, but the things is I want it to be whole food source, cold fusion processed, and raw are the kind of supplements I like. And then I just really focus on, when I'm going into wintertime, I really bump up my consumption of greens. So I try and get my last bit of green smoothies in, because it's going to get too cold for me to drink them. And the ingredients that I always put in them, I put a big chunk of ginger, because I feel like ginger and garlic for my body are what knocks out any bad germs.
Yes,
and turmeric.
Absolutely.
Turmeric for everything right now.
Yes, turmeric is phenomenal for inflammation. That's like my go-to when I feel any sort of inflammation in my body, as well as ginger and garlic, like she mentioned. And I absolutely agree about the green foods. I also say anything rich in vitamin C, and that will include broccoli, bell peppers, parsley, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, lemon juice, strawberries, mustard greens, kiwi, papaya. I mean, there's such a long list of vitamin C rich foods. I feel like if you're eating a whole foods plant-based diet, so no processed or very little processed foods, and trying to eat as many raw fruits and vegetables as possible is so great for your immunity. That is really going to help you fend off most sickness. And I don't know about you, Cobi, but since I've been eating really a low processed whole foods plant-based diet, I rarely ever get sick. And I used to get sick all the time. Even when I was eating a lot more junk food as a vegan, I didn't get sick that frequently either, which I think is so fascinating because it's like, what is going on with dairy and meat in our body? It makes you wonder.
I kind of, for me, when you talk about that, the other thing that I notice is when I am really good about avoiding gluten and sugar probably
Yes.
more importantly, I feel great. And as soon as I let sugar sneak back in, that's when I'll start, oh, am I getting a sore throat? Oh, is that a sniffle? And then I immediately cut it out and I'm back to optimum health. So it's kind of, for me, not necessarily what I'm adding in, it's what I'm purposefully avoiding boosts my immunity too.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You know, and part of the reason I'm not operating at my finest today is I was at a wedding yesterday until late last night. And I woke up not feeling that great. Number one, I didn't go to bed till late at night, and so I didn't get as much sleep as I should have. So sleep is huge for immunity. But I also had some alcohol at the wedding. I had some sugary foods at the wedding. I'm sure the food that I was eating there was not organic. And, you know, I also had some gluten because at the wedding there weren't a ton of vegan foods available to me, so I started eating these bread rolls. And I'm sensitive to gluten. I knew I wasn't going to feel that great after I ate it, but I was so hungry. So I also feel like it's like all those things factor in. Alcohol, of course, can bring down your immunity. So I really only have alcohol at special occasions. And sleep, as I mentioned. I love what Cobi said about the sugar. I also would say, just for boosting immunity, I mean, the supplements can be really wonderful for that on occasion. I'll often take a supplement just to make sure I'm getting all my vitamins. I'll take a raw organic supplement when I can find it. There's a really great one that Sun Warrior makes right now that I've been taking, and Mega Food is another brand that I really enjoy. So I'll take those on occasion. Otherwise, like she said, just the B12 supplement is really the one that we need to have on a regular basis. Otherwise, foods are our supplements. So if you're eating just a ton of multicolor foods, so green and yellow and orange and red and purple, just a whole rainbow of colors, your body is probably going to feel fantastic. All right, next question there is from username Indecisive Decisive. I like that name. I have slowly gotten my boyfriend to be vegetarian, and I'm working toward him being vegan. One of the remaining highly processed, probably not vegetarian either, is cheese pizza rolls. I've been wanting to make a vegan version. Any suggestions how? Have you ever made a vegan cheese pizza roll? That sounds good.
I haven't. So I'm not sure that I fully understand. So is it going to be like a cinnamon bun kind of thing, but all savory and cheesy on the inside, or is it like a calzone?
That's a good question. I would ask this person to clarify once they hear us answering this. So write it back in the Q&A section. When my first imagined, the first thing that came to mind was one thing I love, like pizza pockets that you could get, and they actually have a vegetarian version of that from a company called like I forget what that company is called, like Health is Wealth or Food is Health or something like that. It's a frozen brand, and they make vegetarian mini pizza bites, but I'm not sure if that's what they were referring to. Those were so good, and I to this day really wish that they were vegan. And I've talked to the company before, and I'm like, please make them vegan. I don't even think they're gluten-free, but I would splurge on those because it's like this crispy crust, and inside it's got sauce and cheese in it. But I bet you could make, Cobi, I'm putting that in as an official request. But I think calzone, have you ever made a vegan calzone?
No, but I am still working on my Vegetorials by Request series, and I have a request for a little Italian mini series, so it's going to be vegan tiramisu, vegan calzone, and maybe like a eggplant marinara or something like that. But yes, the calzone is highly requested, so that is coming in this fall.
Okay. Well, I'll let Decisive clarify if you would like. But I mean, if you were going to make it, what would be the basic procedure, you think, Cobi?
Well, for a calzone, it's just like making pizza crust dough, so like water, flour, a little salt. But that's why I'm wondering, because when I first read that, I thought of those garlic knots that are kind of fluffier, and I'm not a baker, so I'm not gonna lie to anyone and tell them that I have a recipe for that, because I don't like baking. It requires too much measuring. I like cooking where you can kind of wing it and it's art. But yeah, if you can clarify. I will take on that challenge.
Yeah, and that sounds good. There used to be in Boston, I'm in Massachusetts right now, there was a vegan pizza place out here that I used to go to every trip, and they had vegan calzone. And they're actually one of the original vegan pizza places in the United States. And I've been went years starting in college now that they closed down, but they're actually replaced by a really great restaurant, so it's okay. But now I'm like feeling very nostalgic for vegan calzone. It'd be really tricky to find gluten-free vegan calzone though. My wheels are turning. Okay, while we're waiting for clarification on that question, username PixieLow1 asked, I've been on a high raw food diet for maybe 3 or 4 years, but suffer with an autoimmune disease. Do you think switching to a 100% raw food diet makes a difference for people like me who suffer with things like arthritis? You know, I'm not an expert, neither of us are an expert on raw foods. I have a passion for raw foods, but I'm not 100% raw, and I really just try to eat as many raw foods as possible, but I love my cooked foods, and I haven't felt like my health changed that significantly when I went 100% raw. However, with arthritis, from my understanding, and again, this is not coming from a medical background, but just simply from passion for this and various forms of research, arthritis, I believe, can be triggered by things like dairy and perhaps even wheat. With that inflammation there, it can also be triggered by nightshades, I believe, can cause various forms of inflammation. So tomatoes, eggplant, potatoes. You can look up a whole list of nightshade foods in terms of how they promote inflammation in the body. And everybody is a little bit different. Some people respond to things like nightshades in a poor way, and some people just can eat nightshade foods with no reaction to it. I would also think of things like turmeric, which are known for reducing inflammation in the body. But I'm a little confused in your question because it sounds like you've been high raw for 3 to 4 years, and you're wondering if you should go 100% raw and if that will help you with your arthritis. That's a tricky one. Again, I can't answer this from a nutritional or medical background, but you know, I think that it's worth experimenting with, and with the guidance of a doctor and or a nutritionist, a naturopath, somebody that has a lot of knowledge around there and can guide you through what specific foods might be triggering arthritis in your body. It's a complicated subject matter, and I just don't have that much knowledge. Cobi, do you have any insight on this question?
Not to speak specifically about the benefits of a fully raw diet, and I'm not sure, did this person start and then they start on raw and then they got arthritis, or did they have arthritis and then they switched to a raw food diet to try and cure themselves? So I'm curious about that. What I would say, I know some people get relief from. My aunt has really bad rheumatoid arthritis, and I got her making a big smoothie with fresh pineapple because the bromelain is supposed to be very anti-inflammatory, and also the cherry juice. I can't remember the name of the brand, but just straight cherry juice, not sweetened, has been helpful for her as well. But I don't know specifically about going 100% raw, if that would make a difference.
Okay.
Dr. Neil Bernard, I always defer to.
Yeah, there's some really fantastic doctors out there. Neil Barnard, as well as T. Colin Campbell, Caldwell Esselstyn, John McDougall. All of them are really great resources. Well, I don't know if any of them specialize specifically in things like arthritis. I would definitely do a little bit of research online. I bet you can find a lot of great information. And the next time I bring on a raw food specialist, I will absolutely ask them that question, because I bet you someone like Jenna Hamshaw, who I had on recently, she actually has a nutrition and medical background, so she would be a really wonderful person to ask. And you had a second question to that as well for the same person, but before we get to that, just indecisive, decisive, clarified, there's actually a brand of or a product out there called Pizza Rolls. That's the brand name.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I typed it in online because I wanted to see if I could find the name of that company that makes that frozen version. And one of the hits that I came across is Chocolate Covered Katie, who has a phenomenal vegan blog, one of the top vegan blogs out there. She has a recipe for quinoa pizza bites.
Oh my
I'm
God.
looking at it right now, and it looks so good and super easy. This recipe is just cooked quinoa with canned pinto beans or cooked pinto beans, tomato paste, basil, onion powder, garlic, salt, and then a mozzarella of choice. And what she did is she just, let's see, how does she do this? It's like the simplest recipe ever. I think you need to make it tonight. Indecisive, decisive. You need to make this because it's so easy. All you do is preheat the oven in a medium bowl. You mash the beans up, add in all the remaining ingredients. You can add in a little bit of sweetener if you'd like, and just roll it all up and make sure the cheese is in the center. And it looks so good. Oh my gosh. Seriously, I think I might be trying this myself. I love that idea. And it's also gluten-free. Of course, it's not going to give you that crunchy factor of the pastry, but another option would be to try to make to get some, maybe I wonder if phyllo dough would work if you're looking for more of a pastry, crunchy. Probably not exactly. I would just experiment because ultimately you're just rolling things up into the pastry. So I bet you can make it super simply. You can get in some pre-made dough, like at Trader Joe's. They have their pizza doughs, I believe. All of them, the pre-made section are vegan. So just double check the ingredients, get that, and just put your cheese in your sauce and just tuck it inside. I bet that would work really well. And of course, anybody else who's watching, if you want to chime in, whether it's past the live section here, if you have more recipes that you found. But I just typed in vegetarian pizza roll. If you type in vegan pizza bites, pizza roll, I bet you'll find a ton of recipes for that. All right. So we have one more question to answer, and again, I want to remind anyone watching live, if you have a question you've been waiting to answer, do it through the Q&A section of Google Plus Hangout for us to be able to see. So this is another question from Pixie Low 1, who asked, are there any books or people or anything else that you guys can recommend for someone who suffers with autoimmune/healthcare problems? I'm sure there are. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Cobi, do you know of any blogs or books that you've come across?
Not that specifically deal with the autoimmune issues. Since my background was really with the Cancer Project, that's kind of more my field of expertise.
I'm just looking online real quick. A lot of hits come up when you type in vegan autoimmune. And there are a number of different articles here for things like lupus, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis. It seems like there are a lot of different perspectives on it. Actually, Dr. McDougall has an article on this. Let me scan this real quick. It says the article is titled Diet: Only Hope for Arthritis, and it's quite a long article, but I would highly recommend this. I'll put it in the links down below. Or you can just search online, Only Hope for Arthritis, McDougall, McDougall. He is a very trusted doctor in the vegan movement, and I would highly recommend checking this out. I bet you that it would lead you to a lot of different information. Yeah, this looks like a really great article. So thank you for asking that. All right, and lastly, Indecisive Decisive just wanted me to repeat the name of the blog. It's chocolatecoveredkatie.com. If any of you are unfamiliar with that website, you've been missing out, because she is just a phenomenal person in the vegan world, and she creates really simple, delicious vegan recipes that are really just delicious and exciting. She's got a focus on chocolate, but it's, her website name is a little misleading because it's not entirely about chocolate. So that recipe, I'm like salivate. So I would highly recommend it to anyone, whether or not you've been seeking out vegan pizza rolls out there. All right, well, that looks like that's it for the questions today. Cobi, is there anything else that you wanted to address based on things that we talked about today? Anything else come to mind for you?
I guess just because of a lot of the questions were about the palm oil, the sugar, and the honey, I just want, my perspective as always, and I think I might have even learned this from you, it is about progress over perfection. So when I'm among vegans, obviously we can nitpick about all these things, and what I practice in my daily life is slightly different than what I would suggest to people just starting out, because I always want this lifestyle to seem accessible. I don't want it to seem hard to people, because I think if someone is just asking me, they're like, I just want to know a little bit about this plant-based diet. And then if I fully launch into, and you can't have sugar or honey or this or that, they're just going to think it's too hard, and they're going to go back to eating burgers and chicken. And to me, if someone changed to a plant-based diet 3 nights a week, that is good enough. I have had some really amazing experiences just this year where seeds I planted maybe 4 or 6 years ago, I'm getting emails now from people who took my Cancer Project class saying, I was in that class you taught at Whole Foods, and I'm a slow learner, or it took me a little while, and I'm finally ready to take the leap. And they're not even talking about they're ready to just go plant-based. They're ready to adopt a fully vegan lifestyle. But everyone has to do it in their own time. I feel like if I bombard people with graphic images, if I keep talking about the negative things and how, your diet is so bad, if I avoid sounding elitist at all costs. I'm not vegan because I think I'm any better than you. I'm vegan because I think we're all equal. So if the message is always gentle, if we always give people a comfortable point, if we allow people to take baby steps, if we are supportive, I really think that's how you get a big shift in the movement. So that's just the 2 cents I wanted to add in.
I love that. I absolutely agree. Progress, not perfection, is a huge motto of mine, and I think that the more that we can encourage people to think that way, the better, because it welcomes more people in, and so many people are afraid of failing. So it's not about being perfect or right or wrong. It's like doing what's best for you based on what you know now, and always knowing that you can become more knowledgeable at something, and you can kind of enhance your lifestyle, but you don't have to do it all at once. And just enjoying your life is so crucial. So, if it's all about how you feel too, and people are always going to have different opinions about you and your lifestyle, and being really confident in your decisions is ultimately the best thing that you can do. We have one last question that snuck in here from username Bishop. I'm not sure if Cobi, if you'll be able to answer this, but he asked, do you know any food that is good for stamina and muscle?
Maca.
Yes.
Yeah, if you are not familiar with maca, it's sourced from like a Peruvian root, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's a superfood, and you can just add it to smoothies. You could bake with it. And yeah, it's known for increasing stamina, and actually also kind of getting your oh my gosh, I'm going to completely blank out right now. You're keeping your adrenals in line.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's great too. And in terms of muscle, they're just having plant-based forms of protein is super important. So, and there's protein in all plant-based foods, but looking at the foods that are highest in plant-based sources of protein is so important. And in terms of stamina, I think that has so much to do with so many different aspects, and it's going to really depend on what your lifestyle is. But getting enough sleep is important to stamina, right? Your energy levels there. And making sure that you're eating really high-quality, nutrient-dense foods is very important to building muscle and to having stamina throughout the day, and cutting out the processed foods. We've been trained by the media to have energy drinks and protein powders and to take supplements and all sorts of things, but really when you're eating just really high quality, nutrient dense, unprocessed foods, you're going to have great stamina. Your muscles are going to be in great health there. And for muscle related ideas, I would really look into some of the plant-based bodybuilders out there, starting with Robert Cheek and Giacomo Marchese, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And there's a whole team. The Plant Built team is really amazing. Who else is in that? There's women that are in there.
Meat-free athlete.
Yes, meat-free athlete, as well as Rich Roll, who does the amazing podcast. There was some incredible, Brendan Brazier, of course, who's one of the founders of Vega, the huge vegan protein company. There's so many amazing athletes and bodybuilders out there that are completely doing it naturally. Robert Cheek has actually moved away from taking a lot of supplements and just eating he's very strongly into the whole foods plant-based diet, just very little if no processed foods out there. So look to people like them, and men and women. There's so many great role models through what's called Plant Built, which is like a team that go compete. They're doing so many extraordinary things. So they are just phenomenal resources for you. And Debbie just wanted to chime in to say that she appreciated what we had to say when we were summarizing things at the end. And Jessie5720 wanted to chime in for the autoimmune question. If you go to nutritionfacts.org, there is a whole section about autoimmune diseases, and nutritionfacts.org is a phenomenal resource. So I'll link to that down below as well. But yes, you can type that right in or do a search for it, and you'll find lots of information. And Pixie Lowe just wanted to clarify that she or he had developed arthritis from they went on medication and switched to the high raw foods diet with some cooked foods. So wonderful. Well, I would love to hear more input from you or anybody else as you learn more from places like Dr. McDougall, nutritionfacts.org, and any other research that you're doing, and things that you learned from going to medical professionals that are knowledgeable. Last thing I want to say is that going to a doctor that knows how to educate you and treat you based on foods, not just giving you medications, but starting with foods and then giving medications if necessary, I think is a really great way to go. A lot of doctors just want to immediately they want that quick fix for you, but a doctor that's really going to think about how they can help you in the long term and getting down to the root of it as opposed to just treating the symptoms, those are the type of doctors that I'm really a big fan of. And you might need to do a little bit of research. I talked about this in the Q&A with Jason Wrobel. We went into depth about finding a doctor and his experiences with his medical history. So if you want to learn more, Jeff, definitely check out that past Q&A. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you, everyone else, for chiming in with your questions and your input. And thank you so much to Cobi for being here today. I love hearing your perspective about making food and leading the vegan lifestyle. It is just so wonderful, and I'm so honored to be doing this YouTube course with you too. Just to circle back.
Is it Monday yet? Winston's excited too.
I know, it's coming up fast. Do you have any last minute words about the course that you wanted to add in?
just if anyone, this is not a completely beginner's course, so if you're looking for someone to actually tell you how to make videos, we're going to be doing something like that in the future. This one is really for people who've maybe had a channel and you're stalled. Maybe you've had a channel for 6 months to a year, maybe more than that. If you've produced 50, 100, 200 videos, and if you're still getting less than 500 views, this is the course for you. I know that it can be scary, intimidating, you can't get any support from YouTube. So this is, again, all of the techniques that Whitney and I have used, and it's really just going to make you, A, accountable, you're going to have actionable steps, and it's to show you that you can do it too, because Whitney and I both built our channels, you know, starting from zero. They started out as hobbies, or our main intention was not necessarily to build this online brand, but it can be done. And the number one question I've been getting asked is, you know, should I join a network? In week 4, we're going to talk all about monetization, and we're going to tell you how you can move your channel forward without joining a network.
Yes.
So I hope people will join us, because we want to create. We want to create this. I don't want to call it an army, but a big organization of vegan creators who are going to continue to share this message, but more importantly, that their content will be sustainable so they can continue. We've seen so many creators who had great channels, awesome videos, but their content wasn't sustainable, so they've disappeared, and that's heartbreaking when it happens. So we want to keep everyone involved and just having flourishing, successful channels.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you know, so many people are just afraid or don't know what they're doing, or you know, maybe aren't executing things properly. I mean, we've researched vegan channels out there to so much depth, and we find people that have been on for 2-3 years that have like under 1,000 subscribers and are not getting major engagement, or you know, are still working full-time jobs and not really taking it to the place that they could take it. So we want to kind of grow this network of vegans on YouTube and really just continue spreading the message, because YouTube is the second most searched, or what is this, the second biggest search engine. So people go on YouTube, they type in vegan. I think the more people that are talking about this message, the more people that are spreading their voice and their knowledge, the better, because not everyone is going to resonate with everybody the same way. You know, we need more variety. We need more men. We need more, you know, different people living in different parts of the world and from different ethnic backgrounds and all of that. And, you know, the more that we can just continue promoting this message, the better. So that's exactly why we created the 4-week vegan YouTube plan. So we'll have a link down below to that if you want to check it out, or you know somebody else who could benefit it. We have about just over 24 hours until the first course starts, so there's still time to join in for that. All right, well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching, to Cobi for being here. This is such a joy. I love Cobi so much, and I hope you can see why now that you've gotten to know her. And we look forward to your comments on YouTube, so be sure to chime in. Type responses to things. If you have more information about anything or a different opinion on something, we would love to hear that in the comment section. And as far as questions go, don't forget to submit them through the bit.ly link. You can click on the description field, and that will give you the link to the form. And Cobi is always welcome to come back on the Q&A, so if you enjoyed seeing her today, let me know, and I can certainly schedule to have her on again, because I love talking vegan food with her. And as you can see, she's just a wealth of information on that topic, and just has such a great perspective about vegan living in general. All right, we're going to wrap things up officially now. So again, you can check out Eco as well as vegetorials.com. Don't forget to go check out Cobi's channel, which is just called Vegetorials. I'll link to it down below. You can go check it out right now to start getting amazing plant-based recipes. We're both on social media. I'm under Eco Vegan Gal. She's under Vegetorials. So you can type that in your favorite social networks and find us there, and find our communities, connect with more like-minded people. and we would love to hear from you there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next weekend. I will let you know the time. Usually I announce it on Thursday or Friday on social media, and I think next Saturday we should be back on track, or next weekend we should be back on track for Saturday. But if for whatever reason, due to my traveling, I need to change that, I will certainly let you know. So thank you to everyone who watched today and was flexible with the date. And until next time, have a phenomenal week. Bye, Cobi.
Bye.